Hello and welcome, and join us as we explore in greater detail the Viking Grand European River Cruise. We start with Amsterdam and Kinderdijk. We flew in from Chicago on the day the cruise started, arriving at 9:30 in the morning. I really don't recommend that because of jet lag and the fact there's much more to see in Amsterdam than you can do in just one afternoon. Our ship was docked conveniently close to the main railway station, which merits a visit all on its own if you have the time. Unfortunately, we didn't have time. After we unpacked our bags, we met a local guide and started walking tour of Amsterdam.
Biggest coffee shop in the world.
Biggest coffee shop in the world.
Yes.
Say, okay, it's enormous.
You can see if you want, guys.
It has two permits. It has the permit.
Well, we didn't have time to visit the coffee shop, which was also a marijuana dispensary, so we continued walking down the narrow streets. This turned out to be a very brief overview of the city. We were left with the rest of the afternoon to explore the city on our own. Now, there were three prominent things that kept occurring in the city: bicycles, canals, and canal barges. So after our walking tour, it was time for a little bite, and we saw the stand and then looked at the pigeons on the roof and decided, nope, this isn't for us. So we found a Heineken cafe right on the main drag across from the train station. Lunch was really super, and we had a chance to sit and watch the bicycle traffic going up and down the main drag, and it was incredible. A word of warning: if you're walking around Amsterdam, watch for the bikes. And the bike lanes are exclusive to the bikes, so don't walk in the bike lanes. We had enough time to go back to the lagoon in front of the train station where there were a number of barge tour companies, and we jumped on our own barge and headed out. The weather was warm but overcast, and we chose to take an open-air boat so that our photographs and views would not be obstructed by the curved windows of the other barges. The area in front of the railway station looks like open sea, but it's not. It's a lake that was closed off 9 years ago by a 32-kilometer-long dam. So we leave the lake and enter the old town, and on the left side of the boat was this building called the Shipping House, which was built right around 1900 or so, and is now used as a hotel. Now, most of the old town was built in the 17th century, and it was at the peak of Amsterdam's influence in the world, as it was considered the richest city in the world due to its trading. Because of the trade, large ships sailed all over the world and brought back the goods to main warehouses in the harbor, and then they were moved to smaller warehouses in town. You can see how narrow the houses are, and it was virtually impossible to get furniture up the narrow staircases. So there are beams sticking out at the top of each house that you can use ropes and pulleys to pull your furniture up to the upper floors. Or nowadays, you can get an electric lift to help you do that. This is an old lookout tower that was part of the defensive walls around the city, but those walls were taken down and the tower remains but is not used. There are 2,500 houseboats on the canals of Amsterdam. Many of them started as real boats, some were converted and some were built just as houseboats. The houseboats first started showing up in the 60s, and they were cheap but very primitive, with no running water and no electricity. Things improved in the 80s and they got toilets, but they flushed them and it went into the canal. Well, that wasn't very sanitary, so they finally connected the boats to the sewer system, and now they say that the canals are clean enough that you can swim in them. There are also numerous locks throughout the canal system where the doors can be closed to control floods. Many of the bridges have tables from cafes nearby, and you can sit and relax and watch the boats go by. Some of the canals are quite narrow, almost like one-way streets, but here are a couple houseboats that have been built for the canals, and you can see a little garden on top of this one. In addition to narrow canals, there are also some very low bridges. It's probably a good idea not to stand up going underneath these. Now, supposedly Rembrandt lived in this neighborhood and painted the Night Watch here. When they went to move it to City Hall, it wouldn't fit. So they had a simple solution. Just trim some of the sides. There are also a lot of these quaint little drawbridges throughout the city, and you will see a typical sight of bicycles chained to the railing of the bridge. If you're so inclined, there's some very nice restaurants along the waterfront that you can stop and have a bite to eat. Notice there are no railings, so it's easy to go for a swim. So now we have turned on the River Amstel, which is a natural river. Old Amsterdam is essentially built on water, and each of the houses have pilings that are driven into the mud far below. Now you may notice some of them are tilting, and that's because the pilings have settled and they're in the process of replacing the wooden pilings with concrete pilings. As we were heading back, we came across this gathering of students in front of their student house, according to our guide. This is supposedly the oldest park in Amsterdam, and according to our guide, if you don't have a balcony or you don't have a garden, you come here. This is a seafaring museum, which was once a place where sailors came to buy supplies for their boats and was part of the East India Company. Next to the museum, there's a three-master that you can visit and go up onto, and it's probably part of the East India Company fleet. This little green building is a bridge tower which used to be staffed 24/7. There are 28 in the city that they don't use anymore and have turned them into little hotels, if you will. And speaking of hotels, this is the Booking.com world headquarters, and I use Booking.com a lot for my travels. Well, we're nearing the end of our little barge tour, and the guide pointed out these very modern buildings next to us, and he said the people in Old Town aren't very happy with these. Now, as I mentioned, we got in the same day as the cruise left, and we didn't have time to visit other things, and we should have. In a previous trip, we actually went to the Rijksmuseum, which is the masterpiece of Dutch art. It contains many famous paintings by the Dutch masters, including Rembrandt and Vermeer. In addition to the Rijksmuseum, there's also the Van Gogh Museum, and if you have time, you should go take a look at it because it contains a treasure trove of all of Van Gogh's paintings and drawings. And that was it for our all too short tour of Amsterdam. And it was back to the ship to relax a little bit before dinner. And then after dinner, we set sail for Kinderdijk, which was an overnight trip, and we didn't really see much of the countryside on the way. So we sailed through the night and arrived the next day in Kinderdijk, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that highlights 300-year-old windmills. Our ship was docked very close to the windmills, and we had a choice of 3 tours: a walking tour, a bicycle tour, or a tour by vintage barge. We chose the walking tour. The land here is below sea level, and 300 years ago 17 windmills were constructed to pump the water out of the peat bogs and into the river Lek. The windmills are quite capable of pumping water, but today primarily it is the diesel-powered pumping stations that keep the boulder dry. So on a very quiet morning, we started our walking tour, and remember I said there are a lot of bikes and you stay off the bike path. In this case, the bike path is larger than the footpath. There are 2 rows of windmills. One is made of thatch, and on the other side they are made of brick. And we're going to cross the bridge and go over and look at the museum windmill, which is made of brick. A number of the windmills are still inhabited by families, and there is one family that has lived here for 10 generations, and the people still live in the mill. Here's a quick look at this inhabited windmill with its garden and outdoor areas. As we pan the drone around, you can get a good look at how extensive the water system is around the windmills and how hard they must have worked to keep the water out of the peat bogs. And again, note that the windmills on the opposite side are thatch, and on this side, brick. After a while, the wind started to pick up, and they put the sails on the blades, and some of the windmills were actually working while we were there. Here's a close look at the exit channel, where the water was dumped as the windmill pumped it out of the land. You can see how close the blades are to the front door, so if they were turning, you didn't necessarily want to run out the front door. As we look up, we see the date on this mill is 1736. One of the mills on the Nedervaart side is designated as a museum mill, and you can actually go inside, and I chuckled as I read the sign that said, "Imagine living here with 10 children." The windmills themselves had examples of what you would find in a typical windmill, including wooden shoes, which were perfect for the wetlands, and they were cheap and easy to repair. As you can see, there are pretty tight quarters in the living areas, and the bed was actually in the wall, and the kitchen itself was small, with a very, very small oven. As I mentioned, the windmills have been around for a number of centuries, but when the wind blows, they need to be anchored, and there are heavy chains that are used to anchor them. Needless to say, there's a lot of waterfowl in the area as well. And we started walking back to the ship, and were delighted to see the windmills actually in motion as we headed back. Well, how did Kinderdijk get its name? Kinderdijk means children's dike, and in 1421 there was a massive flood. Many people perished, and after the floodwaters receded, they came out and found a cradle bobbing up and down on the water with a baby in it, and a cat balancing the cradle so that the cradle would not tip over and the baby would survive. Well, it was a fairly short visit, and it was time to get back to the ship, and on the way back we saw one of the vintage barges, which was on the alternate tour. We settled back into the ship for a little refreshment, and then came dinner. We had a few minutes of daylight to enjoy the scenery before beginning our overnight sail to Cologne, and then we retired to our cabin for our little scenic view out the cabin. Thanks very much for watching, and here are some other videos that you may enjoy. And please don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it.